Washington, D.C. is a city famous for its world-class museums. Locals and out-of-towners alike have access to a wealth of knowledge and beauty, all within a relatively small footprint. So join Viewcation as we take a look at the best museums in Washington, D.C. National Portrait Gallery. The National Portrait Gallery's aim is to portray the iconic figures who've accomplished remarkable feats and helped shape the nation's history and culture. These influential public figures' likenesses have been immortalized in paintings completed by various artists, and they're stored together in one of the oldest buildings in Washington. Aside from the White House, this gallery is home to the only complete collection of presidential portraits in D.C. Additionally, there are numerous depictions of famous and groundbreaking writers, artists, politicians, and activists. There are even a few pieces on display that give you a glimpse at some of history's most notorious villains. A few of the most noteworthy portraits on display include ones of Edith Wharton, George Washington, Frida Kahlo, and Barack and Michelle Obama. National Museum of African American History and Culture. This museum has been drawing in large crowds since it was added to the National Mall in 2016. It occupies a space of 400,000 square feet, so visitors can easily spend hours learning about all the many contributions that African Americans have made throughout the country's history. The 4 stories above street level only represent about half of the museum, as there are an additional 4 below ground floors that provide guests with a ton of other information. The museum also offers an extensive online collection, which allows you to search through all the artifacts and exhibits on display. If you're searching for something in particular, you should start there. National Museum of Asian Art. Even though this museum occupies 2 buildings in a prime location on the mall, it's strangely often overlooked. After stepping inside, however, you'll quickly discover an outstanding variety of Asian art and artifacts. The museum was previously known as the Freer and Sackler Galleries. It got its start as Charles Lang Freer's private art collection, and its most famous feature is the Peacock Room, an opulent dining room decorated by James McNeill Whistler. The room is packed full of beautiful and priceless porcelain. The remainder of the collection includes Chinese, Indian, and Japanese masterpieces. National Museum of the American Indian. This museum is dedicated to America's indigenous and historically mistreated people. The National Museum of the American Indian was added to the mall in 2004. It contains a delightfully insightful collection of Native American artifacts, in addition to a world-renowned cafeteria called the Mitsitam Native Foods Cafe. The building the museum is housed in is just as much a part of the package as exhibits. The detail work is exquisite. The museum's entrance plaza displays plotted star configurations from November 28, 1989. This was the date that federal legislation was first introduced to aid in the museum's creation. The remainder of the museum is curated with works produced in a variety of mediums from a wide range of indigenous American nations. Pieces on display include paintings, pottery, photography, woodworking, textiles, and films. Planet World. This museum describes itself as a place where language comes to life. That means it's not really a museum focused on artifacts or a collection in the traditional sense. Instead, it's a place that is all about the useful yet fleeting words and phrases we use in our everyday lives to express ourselves and communicate. While that might seem like a pretty niche focus, it's one that linguists, English majors, educators, foreign language students, and book lovers will easily get lost in. The museum was founded by former teacher Anne Friedman. It's her hope that Planet World can spark conversations and inspire an increased appreciation for literacy. Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden. At the Hirshhorn Museum, nothing is off limits. It features a massive permanent collection featuring a wide array of sculptures, photographs, videos, digital media, performance-based pieces, and more from some of the 21st century's most pioneering and innovative minds. The museum is housed in a spectacular, ultra-modern, cylindrical building that stands in contrast with the mostly neoclassical architecture throughout the mall. The building was completed in 1974 and was originally meant to house the collection of Wall Street whiz Joseph Hirshhorn, a self-made millionaire who enjoyed collecting 20th century paintings and sculptures. Renwick Gallery at the Smithsonian American Art Museum. This museum is revered for its quality, interactive, hands-on exhibits and large-scale modern art pieces. In 2015, the museum received a massive overhaul when it was given a $30 million renovation. Its biggest draw is arguably its 2015 Wonder exhibit, which celebrates craft and design in our modern digital age. Another excellent exhibit is called Murder is Her Hobby. Here, visitors can see a collection of macabre dollhouses used to help detectives with hard-to-solve crime scenes. United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. While the topic of the Holocaust is certainly a very heavy and solemn one, this museum does an excellent job honoring the victims of this horrific event in human history. The museum might be a little much for younger visitors. As such, it's recommended for people 11 and older. There are 3 floors within the permanent exhibition that tell the tragic tale of the events and ideals that led up to the deadliest genocide of the 20th century. From there, it moves through the horrors that happened during the Holocaust before discussing its aftermath. While this isn't the kind of place you should come to expecting a fun weekend escape, we all have the obligation to avoid repeating the past's mistakes by reflecting on them and confronting them as the horrors they were. If you do visit, please show the utmost respect. National Museum of Natural History. This museum is among the most iconic on the mall. It boasts longtime favorite displays such as the Hope Diamond, which has been drawing in large crowds for more than 6 decades. There are also top-notch state-of-the-art exhibits such as the Hall of Mammals and the recently revamped Hall of Fossils. Smithsonian American Art Museum. The Smithsonian Art Museum houses some of the most famous works by American artists like Georgia O'Keeffe and Edward Hopper. In between the dual museums, there is an open-air courtyard. This is one of the most peaceful places in DC to enjoy a bite to eat or read a book. If you've been on your feet all day, do yourself a favor, take a pit stop here and rest up on a bench and enjoy the scenery. National Gallery of Art. This museum is housed inside 2 separate buildings connected by an underground moving walkway like the kind you find at airports. It's a world-class art museum that features pieces from all around the planet. The West Building is devoted to European and American art from the 13th to 20th centuries. There are also a few works from Spanish, French, German, Dutch, and Flemish artists from the 17th century. Perhaps the most famous piece is Da Vinci's Portrait of the Ginevra de' Benci, the only work from the esteemed artist that is on display in the Western Hemisphere. The East Building focuses more on modern pieces. Notably, there's a 32-foot-long still mobile by Alexander Calder that's housed in a skylit atrium. International Spy Museum. In 2019, the world of DC's for-profit museums was shaken up quite dramatically when the museum closed and the International Spy Museum moved in. While a visit can feel more like strolling through the sort of infotainment you might be used to seeing on the History Channel these days, it's incredibly fun for those who don't normally feel drawn to traditional museums. It features a large array of spy gadgetry, including KGB poison pellet shooting umbrellas and German wristwatch cameras. If you're a fan of 007 films, this is one museum you'll want to spend all day exploring. You can even see the actual silver Aston Martin that Bond drove in 1964's Goldfinger. National Children's Museum. On Pennsylvania Avenue, a few blocks from the National Mall, the kiddos get a fun-filled and educational museum all to themselves. The National Children's Museum was designed to appeal to toddlers up to children of elementary school age. It opened its doors in its current form in February of 2020, right when the pandemic started. Fortunately, after months of lockdowns and health mandates, it's since reopened for the young and young at heart to enjoy. A few other honorable mentions include the National Building Museum, the Postal Museum, the National Air and Space Museum, and the National Museum of American History. Now it's time to hear from you. What are your favorite museums in Washington, D.C.? Let us know in the comments section below.